Good morning, Fly Tires. Last night we had about an inch of snow. It's now -1 degree out here in Perry, Kansas, and it is whole cold and a great day for tying flies because you don't want to be outside today, that's for sure. Today we're going to tie a fly that is very, very versatile, can be tied in a lot of variations, and it's called a Lefty's Deceiver. And you need to have a bunch of these in your box, different sizes and such. Now this is a Lefty's Deceiver we're going to be tying today. And I said there's a lot of variations. This one's tied with bucktail and saddle hackle, this is kind of the traditional Lefty's Deceiver. You can also tie with a variety of synthetic fibers and all kinds of variations. So this is the Lefty's Deceiver, and I've always said that if a fish cannot be caught on a Lefty's Deceiver or a Clouser minnow, it cannot be caught. So you need to have lots of these, different colors, different sizes, different combinations in your box. So let's get to tying. We're tying a fairly big version of this today for the use on, it could be used on redfish or stripers, great on stripers, wipers, perfect on largemouth bass. I've caught some pretty energetic crappie on smaller Lefty Deceivers. Today we're going to tie it on a size 1 hook. This is a Gamakatsu B10S Stinger, and we're going to tie it with some lead wire. This lead wire is going to do two things. It's going to provide some weight in the fly. It's also going to start building up our head. And you'll see as we go, a big part of this fly is creating a larger thread head. So we'll take about 7 wraps of this 0.025 lead wire. Helicopter off the excess. And I'm making this video this morning without the aid of my magnifying light, so it won't be distracting to you. We'll see if I can keep up with that. If I get in a pinch and can't see what the heck I'm doing, I'll change up and pull the light down, pull the magnifier down. Okay, start the thread up by the eye and then jump it over the lead wire and to the other side and tie off our excess. Now, you see we've got this ridge on each side of the lead wire. That's not going to help us in tying in our materials. We don't want to jump over that. So we're going to build a thread ramp up on each side of that lead wire. There's that side. And wrap it over the wire. Start building it up on the other side. Let's make a nice smooth transition for our material. Okay, now tie in the lead wire, hold it in place, and also smooth out the top, because we're going to be tying some material, bucktail, to this here in a little bit. Okay. Come back to the bend of the hook. The first material we're going to tie in will be our saddle hackles. And we want to pick out some saddle hackles that are about the same size. These purple saddle hackles. I love purple. Fish do too for some reason. I want our saddle hackles to be about the same size. Doesn't have to be exact, but close. Okay, we want 4 of them. There's our 4 that we've selected. And notice how the saddle hackles all bend to one side or the other. It depends on which side of the chicken they came off of. So we're going to, my method anyway, is to line up 2 of them so they bend the same way. And then take 2 that splay out the opposite direction. Put those on the other side. We want the tips of those saddle hackle feathers to all be aligned so they're about the same length. Okay, so there we have our 4 saddle hackles. Now Lefty did this a little differently when he tied the fly. He kind of bundled them up together. He didn't care which way they went, but to me, I like to have them splayed out. So that's what we're gonna do with this video. Now, we want these to be, a couple of hook lengths in length. So we're gonna mark our spot, hold it with our fingers, pinch it together, and trim off our excess. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but you've got a lot of fluff in there. We're going to peel out that fluff that is at the base of those saddle hackles. That gives us a much cleaner tie-in. So just set those and try to get, so you get 2 on one side of the hook and 2 on the other. And loose wrap, a couple of loose wraps, tighten it down, about 3 or 4, and then check to see if those are positioned the way you want them to go. It looks like they are. So hold them in place, wrap back a little further. This is looking good. Okay, we've got the saddle hackles tied in. Now for some flash. We're going to use this morning some purple crystal flash, keeping with our color scheme. And we'll take, I don't know, 4 to 6 strands of crystal flash. Cut those off. And fold the strands around the hook so they're even on both sides, and then tie in that bundle on one side of the hook. Okay, then we'll take 2 of those strands to the other side, hold them with 2 different fingers, and then pull them back and tie them in. So we want equal number of strands on both sides of those saddle hackles. And for me, I like cutting these off a little shorter than the saddle hackles. There. Okay, for an underbody, we're going to use some flat diamond braid in a pearl. And we'll cut off about a 8 or 10 inch length of that stuff. And that's going to be enough to tie several flies. Okay, take the thread up about to the start of the lead wire, and then wrap our diamond braid for our underbody. This will give us a little bit of shimmer to the interior of the fly. Okay, tie that down with some 3 or 4 wraps, pull it over, tie it down the other side, lock it in place, and trim off our excess. Okay, we want the thread to be up about the middle of the lead wire. Our first bucktail tie will be purple, and you want a chunk of, or a cluster of bucktail that's about, I don't know how to describe it, about that much. So not a whole lot, not a real bulky cluster, but you'll have some long pieces like I just pulled out, but there's a lot of fluff and short pieces up here. So hold the clump about in the middle and peel out those shorts and fuzzies. That'll make for a cleaner tie-in. Okay, now we want to measure our bucktail so it's just a hair shorter than the saddle hackles, and cut off the tips. Cut those off square, and tie in the bucktail about 3 wraps and tighten it down. And then, this is important, take your thumbnail on top of your thread tie and push down, and what that does, it forces the bucktail around about half of the hook. Okay, now we're starting the buildup of our thread head. That's going to be a big thing with this fly, is building up that thread head. Okay. And you'll find with these bucktail fibers, you'll have a ridge of the tips of the bucktail, and you'll have better luck if you come down here towards the eye and wrap back up over those things. Okay, now turn the vise over and do our second wrap of bucktail on the underneath side of the fly. About the same size. Again, pull out any long fibers that you have. Get rid of those. And then hold the clump in the middle, peel any shorts and fuzzies. You can see I've got a lot of shorts and fuzzies that are sticking in there. Get rid of those. There, that'll make a cleaner tie-in. Okay, and let's measure this out the same way. Cut off our excess. tie that bundle in, 3 or 4 wraps, tighten it up, and again, put your thumbnail on top and distribute those fibers around the hook shank. For this fly, we're going to add in a second color of bucktail, and that's going to be pink. That's just going to be as an accent on the fly. So, and this is going to be a very small bundle. So just a very small clump of bucktail. Same process. Just get rid of those shorts and fuzzies. And for this clump, since it's just an accent, we're not going to want it to be as long as the purple bucktail. Get rid of some of those longer fibers. There. That's about long enough. And tie that down on top of the hook. We're not going to distribute this bundle. We're going to let that sit right on top of the fly. Okay, and invert the fly again, and we're going to tie in some red material. In this case, we're using some crystal flash, and the idea here is to create the illusion of gills for our imitation minnow. Take about 4 strands of crystal flash. You can use Flashaboo as well, but the color red is important. Always use red for this tie. Okay, take that bundle, fold the bundle in half, and cut our loops, and fold the bundle around the hook so it's about even on both sides. Bring it up, and I'm going to tie that in right on the underneath side of the hook. Try to keep those fibers all together. Okay, now we're going to cut those off about at the hook point, or just a little longer. They're going to spring back a little bit, so we're going to cut them off about right there. And that gives us the illusion of the gills on the minnow. Now we can tie this off. Yep. Now for about the trickiest part of this fly is gluing the eyes on. So we're going to take some super glue gel, and on one side we're going to put the tiniest drop of super glue gel. If you use too much, you will really fight getting these eyes glued on, and chances are stick the eyes to your fingers. I've done that many times. Okay, and I'm using 0.5 millimeter fish skull living eyes, pretty small eye, and I'm gonna, oops, I didn't want to do that. See, I've already got glue on my fingers. It helps to move this around with your bodkin, move the eye around with your bodkin. Okay, and try to place that in the center of the head. Once you get it where you want it, don't touch it. Don't try to reposition it with your fingers, or you'll end up with that eye stuck to your fingers. Okay, other side, we'll create a dollop, just a drop, just a micro drop. There we go. It takes a while for this super glue gel to set up. So we want to set this off in a way that it doesn't, just let the glue dry so it doesn't disturb those eyes. And make sure you've got the eyes positioned evenly on both sides of the head. All right, now it's almost done, but if we tried to fish this fly just like this, these eyes are going to pop off. So we got to seal those in place. And my favorite thing to use is epoxy, and I'll use some 2-ton epoxy, mix up a batch of that, put that over the surface of the head, encapsulate those eyes, and then put it on a drying wheel and dry the head. But we don't, I don't have time to do that today, so we're going to show you another method that uses UV resin. So we're going to take this one off, let those eyes dry, and we'll take another fly that we tied, and the eyes are dry on this one. Put that in their vise. See, those eyes are nice and solid. And we'll get our UV resin and our UV light. And we'll brush the UV resin on there, trying to make sure we get it, fill up all those gaps between the eyes and the head. This is some Loon UV resin in a thin. It's going to take 2 or 3 coats of this stuff to, there we go. accomplish our purpose. And use our UV light to cure that stuff. This really does a pretty good job. It's not as strong as the epoxy, so that's why I have a preference for using the epoxy. And the drying wheel is something you can purchase for about 50 or 60 bucks. Or I built mine using a grill rotisserie motor and some other stuff I bought at Ace Hardware, and was able to build that on my own. Probably spent as much on that material as I would have if I'd have bought a commercial drying wheel, but I like the one that I built. Okay, we're gonna put another coat of the UV resin on there. Make sure we've got good coverage around those eyes. And this time we're gonna make sure we paint that resin over the eyes. And cure it one more time. I've also found with the UV resin, oftentimes, if you just cure it and leave it like this, that sometimes it'll turn a milky color on you, and we don't want that. We want it nice and crisp, and so those eyes really pop. Make sure you get that UV resin cured good. So to keep that from turning milky, I always coat the UV resin with some Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. This will help keep those colors vibrant. Okay, so there we have the Lefty's Deceiver, and this is just like Lefty would tie, with a couple of variations. One is I let the saddle hackle splay out rather than being twisted together, and then we also added that pink accent color on top. That's the only difference. Otherwise, this is a standard Lefty's Deceiver. A lot of times too, if you're tying in lighter colors, chartreuse and white is a favorite. I would tie the white on the bottom of the fly and the chartreuse on the top. And the reason for that is minnows are always lighter in color and shinier in color on the bottom than they are on the top. So you want to emulate that. You can also use rather than like this pink, use some olive on top, and that gives the illusion of the darker section on the top of the minnow. So there you have the Lefty's Deceiver. Give that a try and tie a bunch of them.